Hello, Sheila.
Hi, are you waiting to get in?
I just got on.
Okay, because mine says a host has another meeting.
Yeah, I just noticed that, but I ended the prior meeting. There was no
Oh, I'm
prior.
in.
Yep.
I just got in.
Okay, see you.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
I'd like to call the June 17th meeting of the Board of Architectural Review to order. Welcome, everyone. Our first order of business is the Tuxedo Club application with regard to their employee entrance, and I believe their entrance to the main club to make it more ADA permanently compliant. A notice has been sent out to the members. The building inspector is invited. May 26 or so people were sent notices. I should disclose that some bar members are Tuxedo Club members, but we don't see that as a conflict of interest here, but I did want to put it on the record. This project is largely appears to be driven by technical and logistical implementation concerns, somewhat less by aesthetics, although they do play a part. Since there's a structure on the property, it is within the bar's purview to review this application, as we did similarly with the tennis club parking lot application not too long ago. But we'll involve our engineers and building inspector, DPW, and other disciplines as required in order to make sure we agree on the implementation process here, as well as look at the aesthetics. I see there's a variance required for a site view from the employee parking lot. I'm sure you'll go through that in a few moments. Steve Honan, is there any secret or other regulatory agency requirements here?
No, I don't believe so. I think this would be a type 2 action.
Right.
And you're correct with respect to our authority to review this commercial site plan pursuant to the village's zoning code, section 100-51.
Thank you. That's helpful. I did want to ask, though, the applicants before we get started, what is the timing of this project in the context of, because it is the summer and I know you have those concerns as well. Is this something that's going to start in the fall with the O&R stuff going on and your busy season at the pool, et cetera? Is the club representative on? Oh, Randy?
I am, but I had to figure out how to unmute. I don't usually do these on my iPad.
I hear
usually do them
you.
on a laptop, which is much easier. I apologize. So, we wanted to start the process now. We knew there'd be some, comments and things that we wanted to have plenty of time to address. There is a chance we may do this, late fall, I would say. There's also a chance we may do it spring. It's going to depend on how soon we can get things queued up, as well as, we have to clear some space within the club's calendar for, member special events and holidays and all that. So I'd say it's 50-50 whether we do it late fall or early spring, but that certainly.
But you're not doing it this month?
No, we're not. You know what? I got enough going on down at golf still. I'll take a pass on a project till I finish that one if I could. So I think late fall at the earliest would be our guess.
Excellent. Would you like to explain your project? I don't know if you want to take control of the screen. I have some.
I call Dan Sherman.
So you know what I think we'll do?
Just two questions. Have you been before this board before for other issues with the house?
Excuse me, is someone speaking outside of the Tuxedo Club that maybe should be on mute?
Sheila, I believe that was Dan Sherman, who's the architect on the plan.
Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. Please go ahead.
Dan Sherman is not the architect for this application. I just
Oh.
needed to-
different
Oh, okay.
plans. So
We're talking about houses.
So Karen actually is going to answer all your technical and design questions. What I'll tell you from the club's perspective is we're simply, we're chipping away at some infrastructure and things that need to happen. This is an important one to us. There's an aesthetic component, obviously, and it's been many years since some things were cleaned up around the club. One of those is we want to eliminate, or I should say, we should make it more user-friendly to get in the building at the main entrance and eliminate that ramp. It'll also allow us to solve some drainage issues in the main parking lot. And then aesthetically, for both the members and the community, we want to get the employee parking lot and our loading dock hidden a little more subtly and make it a little more user-friendly for members, as well as when you drive up and approach the club. So the plan, and Karen will go through it, but is to really take most of the employee parking lot and make it less visible to East Lake Road and that whole area, and leaving one small area for boathouse overflow or people that want to park there and walk the lake and that kind of thing. So it's a combination of all that. And it's just time, it's just time to get it, appropriate to the stature of the club. And right now it's not.
Okay, Karen, do you want to share your screen and
Yes,
give us the applicant's vision here?
I would love to. Do you have it so that I can share?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. All right, here we go. Now, do you see the drawing of the club?
I do.
Okay, great. So the entrance we wanted to, as Randy said, redesign to make it more user friendly to the to handicap and members. And we also wanted to make sure that we could get a small fire truck around, because right now the club doesn't have that access. So this whole area in front of the club, it will be pavement with also some nice Belgian block to define the drop-off area from the through area. It's a one-way system, so you would enter right up here off of Lake Road, and off of West Lake Road, and then go around through the drop-off and then back out. In the middle of the parking area, we have a large green island that we're planning to put some oak trees and some dogwoods at the entrance. But what is really special about this design, and it was part of the master plan for the club, is that it really focuses on this beautiful courtyard that the club, the building makes. And we are going to keep all the dogwoods and large trees in front of the club, but clean it up so that you can really see the architectural beauty, and simplify the landscape a little, still having it appear natural, but we want to really enhance and make visible the beautiful architecture of the club. All the stormwater is proposed to drain into this big, the middle green island, and we're working on the engineering drawings now to help cleanse the stormwater before it enters the stormwater pipes. The employee parking lot, as Randy mentioned, and the service yard are totally separate, so you can no longer drive into the service yard from the member parking area. So if you are an employee or a delivery, you would go into this entrance off of Westlake Road. And we also have sorry about that. Yikes.
It's back, I think.
Yeah, this is the existing condition. So wait, I'm still not as proficient on Zoom as I'd like to be. Oh, I lost it. That's terrible. Hold on 1 second. I have to just go to fun. Okay, so you would enter, as Randy said, we would be taking out all the parking area right, that is right up along the road in this area, along West Lake Road. And you'd be entering on a one-way system. The employee parking lot is depressed into the ground 4 feet so that we can hide it as from the adjacent intersections. And then the employees would go around and out back onto West Lake Road in that direction. And then the service vehicles can pull in, back up and go to the existing concrete loading dock and then straight out. And also the garbage dumpsters are located so that the garbage truck can just drive right in, pick up the garbage, back up, and then go out. And we've also shown space for some of the service parking areas, service vehicles that the club uses, of 2 vans and a pickup truck. We are going to propose thick screening along this intersection. We showed the intersection sight lines so that, you know, as required by the village, and also so that we can make sure that there's no planting proposed in that area. So we are basically cleaning up the entrance, as Randy said. There are some trees coming out, but we have a tree survey that was done 10 years ago by Ira Wick's company. And they recommended most of these trees to be taken down because of various defects of the trees. And there's also many of them are spruces and pines that are very tall and top heavy and fall down even if in big storms. They just tend to fall down. We are going to keep one white pine right here just so that we don't the site isn't denuded. And we're also saving 4 significant trees between the employee parking area and the member parking area. And again, we are going to propose a variety of street trees and screening in this area, and then more evergreen trees between the service yard and the employee parking. The one area where we do need a variance is we want to, so we are keeping the existing stucco wall of the club. And I can put a picture up of the club for you. We're keeping this wall right here. And we are gonna add a screen fence across here, much nicer than the existing stockade fence. And that will hide the employee, the garbage dumpster and the other,
Runkle.
yeah, all the other stuff. So it's gonna, the 8-foot high fence will connect right here and go across to hide all the stuff, all the junk. So as you can see right now, the club is very hard. It's asphalt. We're not proposing asphalt. We're proposing the tar and chip. And there will be a big island right here of trees. And then at the entrance near the road, we'll have lower dogwood trees to make it more attractive. And then we are going to take out, we're going to keep the huge, beautiful yew that's over on this side of the building. That's probably 100 years old or more. And we're going to also clean up some issues of ice in this corner. There's a walkway that the apartment people use, and as well as it's a direct access to the bar, I understand. So, and right now it doesn't drain properly and it gets very icy. So we're, as part of the whole, as part of the project, we're gonna put some drains in and drain it out to the bioretention area. So that, excuse me, that concludes.
Can you tell us what materials you're proposing for the fencing?
So we haven't figured that out yet. Something that, it's gonna be wood, some kind of wood. It'll be a closed fence. You know, before the next meeting, I can work on those details. It's definitely not gonna be stockade. It's gonna be more of like a board on board with maybe with some kind of top so that it doesn't appear too tall. But on the other hand, I do want it to blend with the vegetation. I don't want it to stand out too much. So it might be like a greenish, actually it might be the color, the same color as the club, because that would be or even just natural wood that was left to weather. might
And
be the best.
Karen, there will be quite a lot of buffering and by way of trees and shrubs in
Yes.
front of it, so it really will disappear. Is that the
Yes,
idea?
that's the intention. We want to plant that area out. That's one area I would use some type of evergreen, even a more formal one like the green giants or something, just to get really good screening. I was thinking of the green giants here, and then very natural vegetation around the edges, such as your variety of street trees. Like I want to put more oaks in, more of some of the native plants that are found.
Christopher Gow will be happy that you said that.
Yeah,
Can you go back to the image, the photograph that you were just
Sure.
on before? I wonder, first of all, I mean, is this okay, Sheila, if I,
yeah. After that, we'll entertain the engineer's comments, but there's no requirement that it go in that order.
great, just because this, while it's fresh.
Yeah, we're here. Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. I think everything that you're talking about, Karen and Randy, seems so inevitable and such an improvement. And what the site wants. And it's going to be more user-friendly and a lot more beautiful. So that I just give it really high marks for what that is worth. A couple of small, really questions. The first of which is drainage. You were talking about the runoff going into the central island, right?
Yes.
And I'm assuming that the island will be a little bit higher than the macadam. Is that accurate?
No, we are going to have more of a rain garden type situation where it's going to be lower. And then at a point that's a little higher than the inside of the island, we will have a catch basin for overflow. And that's how the water will,
I see. So you basically, will it be delineated as it seems to be now with Belgian block? That
Yes,
comes down in a small, I'll use the word culvert, although that's an
yeah,
exaggeration.
it's gonna come down to the center. The curves are gonna have curb cuts so the stormwater can go out into the middle and then down into a slightly depressed area that's probably 2 feet. But the island is big. In order to get the turning radius, I believe the island is about 15 feet wide. So it's a significant island. So we want to have it so it can retain stormwater for up to 24 hours.
Great.
And then it cleanses the water as it percolates. We're hoping that it's a similar sandy soils, similar to the property we worked on right up the road, so that it could really percolate into the ground rather than go into the lake. And then whatever doesn't percolate within 24 hours would go into the catch basin and into the storm. But that whole area is going to be filled with vegetation that absolutely love this type of they actually, it's tricky to pick the vegetation, but there are plants that like the wet and dry
So
conditions.
what, that answers my question. So basically, I think someone needs to put themselves on mute. There's a kind of echo effect right now. So basically it's concave, it comes down for the purposes of stormwater, and there's no sort of like hilling in the center. So what are the plants? I assume then you're going to do arborvitae, or what are you doing?
No, we're gonna do oaks in that area. I want some big shade trees.
So my question is, can the oaks stand in water like that?
Yes, they're swamp white oaks.
Oh,
And
okay.
I've used it in the past in the rain garden, same exact as this, and they're big and gorgeous, like
Oh,
10 years
great.
later. But what I want to do to keep it so I'm going to put vegetation that grows like 3 to 4 feet, maybe 5 feet high, depending upon how deep we have to make the island, so that it's completely full, so it looks like a mound, but it isn't really a mound.
Right.
So
Am I right in thinking winterberry, which is native, it likes wet,
it
and
likes wet, doesn't
and it
like
would
it
be
as
very-
dry, but it
and it
looks
would be
good.
very well, you could do some irrigation for
Yes,
you
could for
so
those
for
few
the
times
dry
it
months.
needs it.
But I was just thinking, especially the dwarf one, that gets
That's right. Yeah.
about 5 by 5.
Yep.
And how festive would that be for everyone around,
It's
post
gorgeous.
Thanksgiving and into Christmas with the berries if they're not taken
That
by
would be,
birds.
that's a great idea.
So, all right, okay, that was my first question, and everything you said sounds perfect. Question, that strange looking birch, which doesn't really want to be there. what are-
Out.
Good, okay.
That birch,
great.
the birch here, we want to take out because I don't like how it hides the club.
It's
because I find
terrible.
This,
It's
because
just,
this is a winter picture. I should have taken a more
No.
recent picture because like a lot of the club, we're gonna actually prune some of the dogwood. So I actually wanted to take some of the dogwoods out because it just hides some of the most beautiful parts of the club. But
mm,
we felt that that would be too severe for people to have like just a blank slate. So we're gonna keep the dogwoods, prune them, elevate them where possible, and maybe perhaps even prune some of the tops so that you can see this beautiful architecture. We're taking out this birch and the birch over here, which
Oh,
just
thank-
looks forlorn.
thank God.
Yeah, no, and we're
Every-
taking out this
Every
white pine.
decision that you're talking about seems right. So great. And
We're
then,
also gonna take out these rhododendrons because this, again, this window is gorgeous.
sure,
And if the time is right, we might even move the rhododendrons over.
I was going
and
to
put them
ask, I mean,
for
it's a
treating.
beautiful plant if you could preserve it.
Yeah,
The time is right. Can we move over to this wall with this bizarre whitewash that references nothing? What is your
Yes.
plan for that?
well, we haven't 100%
I'm not
planned
talking
it out.
about the wall. I'm glad to hear you're leaving it. I'm just wondering about the tinting.
I want it to be the same, as close to the club as we can make it.
Great.
That's what I would like to do.
I think that's what you need to do.
Yeah, we need to do that. And it's gonna take a couple tries to get it,
I know.
close to that color, but we'll write it,
And the other thing, Karen, if it's really hard to achieve that, and understandably, because that's 100 years of wonderful grime in the particulate, but you can always put Boston ivy or Virginia creeper
True.
or
Oh, that's a good
conjugate
idea.
or something to soften it. It just looks a little bit odd right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a good idea, even if we do it in a few patches,
Mhm.
to have a couple of vines.
And
But I'm so
just
excited.
to,
One of the things that I'm most excited about your plan is what you're doing with the traffic flow of the employee parking and getting it off of the road. And it just seems really masterful, this whole plan. And that's it for me. I know I've talked a lot.
Thank you.
I
Well,
just
know
wanted to add
it-
one
go on, Randy.
comment there about the wall.
Mm.
And we do have plans to do a very gentle wash of the building and paint the trim. So I think once we do that, it'll help us match that color on the wall as well.
Right, great.
Okay. Yeah, I agree that I get comfort that coming down the west side, I'm not gonna have to, I'm always nervous about who's gonna back out into me. And it'll be very nice that there'll be a one-way in and out. I think that'll be more secure as well as less unsightly. Is there any lighting changes being?
So we're going to preserve the existing lights and move them. And I understand the club is dark. So that's the next step. We're gonna work on how can we get lights that are similar, or do we choose a light that's completely different and hide it in the vegetation? So we're going to work on the lights the next phase.
Okay, so colors, lighting, and a more, a larger landscaping plan is coming as your vision evolves.
Yeah.
Okay. Christopher Boschers, did you have anything before I move on to the engineer?
No, I'm in agreement with Rob, and I think Karen, you've done a beautiful, beautiful job. It's long overdue for Randy, so I'm real pleased.
Here.
All right, thank you. So Andy, do you want to go through your engineering comments to give some guidance before they go to the BZA?
So I had a total of 11 comments. The first one is the project will require site drainage drawings and calculations prepared by a site engineer. And I'm sure you can work on that, right, Karen?
Yes, we have Dave Getz with Engineering Properties and also the engineer. One of them, Dave couldn't be at this meeting, but if there's any questions directly to an engineer, we have Keith from Engineering Properties also on this Zoom call.
Okay. All right.
But they felt, we discussed the engineers, all your comments, and they feel that there's nothing that they can't accomplish.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Number 2 was in regards to the zoning compliance table and the site distance information. So, I was just questioning some of those things, and I'm sure you can take care of that, in one of the upcoming meetings. 3 was 3 was kind of the site distance as well. In the specifically, and broken down, 3 and 4 are the different locations, member parking area compared to employee parking area coming in site distance. 5 was, I noticed the number 16 in your work item legend was an 8-foot fence.
Yes.
So I'm sure you're gonna have to go for a variance for that, right?
Yes.
And 6 was in regards to material and color, which that question already came up. 7 was in regards to topography modifications at, where the parking areas and driveways interconnect with the road. My concern is that water in one location, when you enter the employee parking, just that, that's a downward flow into the site. And I think you're going to need to get some drainage in, stormwater management in that area. And the same with leaving, actually, the reverse problem, leaving the employee parking area and entering Westlake. It looks like the grade drops in there. So, my concern is not getting water flow out onto Westlake Road from the parking. Comment number 8 was in regards to the rain garden and just, stormwater management of, you talked about that before, about having a kind of a raised, not raised, but not at the bottom of the rain garden to deal with water, but I'd want to see, where you're piping that to and such. 9 was that work item legend. You had number 25 indicating a trench drain, but you had a note that says pipe to ? So I'm sure you'll take care of that and indicate where it's going. And then the comment number 10 was in regards to handicap parking. So, and I think you're 1 short right now. And you've got 2 in the member parking area. I think if you're gonna add 1, it should be on the employee parking side.
So Andy, we discussed this and we have the employees going into an area where there's steps to get into the building.
Okay.
So Randy thought we could put it, with the one employee parking, handicap parking, we would put it in the club members area. And so that if there's an employee, it's like it's the only thing we really can do, because there's steps that go into the employee service entrance. So we thought, and that would help. We would just share, you know, just like the other one, we would share the striping, and maybe there would be a little sign, employee handicap parking or something like that.
Right, okay. Yeah, and so you'll need to add, regardless, you'll have to add another symbol in one of the parking
Yes.
spaces and figure that out.
Yep.
And then 11 was that you had a handrail listed, but no material or anything like that.
Yeah,
So
we'll get more definitive on that.
I'm sure you will. And then you mentioned in your earlier comments about a small fire truck. I'm not convinced that a truck can make that turn. So I just wonder, have you checked with the?
We will have
Remote-
that. We will have a diagram for you next.
Okay,
Yeah,
Great.
And just
Okay,
to clarify on that one, Andy, when
Yeah.
we did the tennis building, this was a big thing when we did the parking lot at tennis. So we have the same radiuses set up for this lot that were approved for tennis. So we know those match the village vehicles we would need to get in. So we
Okay.
took the takeoff right off of tennis.
all right. Well, and as an alternate to trying to bring it into the member area, if you run into problems, I think you may be able to come in the employees area and
Great idea.
could be in the service area.
Right.
So if you run into issues, I think just look at that as an alternative, you know?
Right.
And that's it. Those were all my comments. Thanks.
thank you. Do we have any, well, first of all, John Ledwith, do you need to add anything?
No, I have a few things that I'll go over with the club separately.
Excellent, excellent. Do we have any members of the public that are here to speak about this application? If so,
Hi,
I mean,
it's Michael O'Neill, and I'd like to just have
Sure.
a question or two.
good.
Yes,
Go
really
ahead.
for Karen or Randy. I actually live directly across from the club in what is known as Club Cottage 1. It's one of the 3 cottages that the club used to own. And one of the issues that we experience, especially in the summertime when I think the wind is coming off of the lake, is just the acoustics and the noise from the actual what's being called the service area. So I just wondered, within the plan, specifically within the plan of I guess the new shrubs and fencing that's being built, what if any noise mitigation or sound mitigation is built into your thinking?
So we are going to pack the area with evergreen trees between the service yard and the employee parking, as well as put a lot of vegetation between the wall of this. So actually being depressed will help. That's the employee parking lot's going to be depressed. The earth will help sound mitigation. We are packing it with plant material. You need a lot more plant material to do significant decibel significant attenuation of sound, but depressing the employee parking area and the service yard, that should help. Hiding the source of sound often helps mitigate the perception of the sound, but there's not really anything else that we can do that I can think of to help out with that. But
And then, or will you be, Karen, going through the specific plan in terms of what trees I saw on the plan, the trees that are marked to be removed? Are you going to take us through that tonight? Or is that a different session?
if
Because
the
it's,
board so desires, or we can do it when we're doing the landscaping and show you what we're putting
They're
back.
gonna come back with a full
Yeah.
landscaping plan.
okay, great.
And I
Good.
encourage you to come back and speak with us at the time.
May
Yeah,
I,
just because one of the other challenges, just through natural, the course of life, a lot of trees have come down in that zone through storms and such. And I mean, when we bought the house 12 or 13 years ago, you could sit in our kitchen and it was quite cool in the middle of summer. And now, because a lot of trees have come down, especially these large pines that you've referenced, it heats up and it bakes in there. So I just wondered, when you take us through that, what if any replacement are being made to the trees that are being taken down, at least in terms of stature and size?
And we are planting beautiful street trees along the road because luckily there's no utility poles and wires, so we can put big, beautiful trees there. And that's also great to help, cool the pavement and everything. So, so we are intending to provide a lot of shade trees in the plan that's forthcoming.
And I'm not sure if Karen mentioned this too, that the tree plan, the club had a tree plan done for that whole area of the club about 10 years ago for round numbers. If you walk over there, you'll see there's many, many tagged trees. And when the time comes, the tagged trees will match up to our plan. Many of them are recommended for disease and other reasons to be removed. I would call this a very thoughtful removal. It seems like a lot of trees, but there's also a lot of planting. In the grand scheme, probably more planting going back than being removed, quite frankly. And so we do have a tree plan that shows, the reasoning, between wicks and everything else, why these would come down. So I think that'll be helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and also, I mean, we have guidelines and code about how many that come down and how many have to be replanted. So we'll be looking at that carefully too, in terms of the vision when of the club when they come back with the full-scale plan. But I think we're probably talking to the choir a little bit because I think the club wants it to look
Yes.
very sumptuous as well, sounds like.
No, and I think it's great. I mean, I think Karen's done a great job. And I think that, to Rob's point earlier, I mean, celebrating John Russell Pope's masterpiece that he built right across from my kitchen window. I mean, that's fantastic. I just want to make sure that the noise and the acoustics don't increase, because we can hear. I mean, I was a kid that had a job at 21, but I can, we can hear the conversations that take place right into our bedroom window right now. So.
Well, I think that's a very fair point, and I'm glad you raised it because I'm putting it on my list to keep at the back of my mind too.
can I ask a further question with respect to Mr. O'Neill's contribution? Mr. O'Neill, is your house depicted anywhere on the plans?
It's not. It would be so if you're looking at the triangle outside of, it's the three houses that appear. Let's see, I'm just trying to see if there's a compass on here, if that's considered north or south.
Here's the compass right down here.
Well, where you're.
It's east, I think. You're east.
It's
up
east, exactly.
by the
It's
Z
east.
of zoning, right?
May I make a suggestion that on a later set of plans that we get a vicinity map?
Yep.
So we
We
have
will
some
need
of the
that for-
structures around,
Yeah.
and so we can talk about screening and where the improvements are with respect to existing structures and roadways, and also how close it is to the lake. I think it's going to be an issue as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll do a
That's great.
smaller scale plan so you can see all that.
Great. Just a vicinity plan would be fine.
Okay. Google Maps image, Karen. would
Yeah,
be-
we'll do that. That's easy.
Are there
We'll
any
find
other,
out with the tax map.
are there any other members of the public that would like to speak, or anyone else on this application before we move on?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
guys.
Ann Gwathney.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
We live now, just for information's sake, Continental Road is not that road there. That is Clubhouse Road,
Oh,
for
sorry.
your information. That needs to be changed. Also, 3 entrances is a bit worrisome on a busy road, especially with school traffic. Also, when and if it does snow here, it usually snows a lot. Snow removal from the employee parking lot is going into the triangle. Where will that be pushed to?
We carefully worked on that with, we carefully worked on that so that we made sure a Bobcat, they're planning to use a Bobcat to take, and we have this wall just high enough that the Bobcat can dump the snow in this area. We have that figured out. So we won't be, their club will not be pushing snow into the road.
Okay, but the roadway will be pushing snow into the club of 3 areas is my point. And when it snows a foot or 2, it just is a little worrisome. You have 3 entrances now. I see that as a safety problem. I don't see a lighting plan for the employee parking lot.
Yeah, that's to come, she told us.
I know, but as a neighbor, I really don't want to be seeing yet another parking lot lit up. And this is quite visible from, I'd say, at least 7 or 8 houses now that live up that road.
Well, if I can just interject, I mean, as far as safety and blight, visual blight, I think this is undoubtedly a huge improvement from getting the employee vehicles off of the road. And as far as screening for sound and light and anything objectionable, we'll be curious to see what the planting program looks like and how that can be maximized.
Well, I guess my question is it's the old song, you're paving and putting up another parking lot. The club owns the lot next door. And I don't see anything happening there which could resolve all of this, except for the service entrance into perhaps the kitchen area.
And where, can you be clear, where were you proposing to put a parking lot?
I don't like parking lots, so I wouldn't be putting any in.
Okay, you said there is an alternative. Where is that?
The club owns the lot across the street from the club.
And you don't think that that would be even more of a blight and an impact on your house?
I think it could be landscaped a lot better than what you're proposing here.
Well, what I think is that there are a lot of mature oaks that would be hugely compromised by that. So I think that the existing plan here is vastly more meaningful and productive and constructive.
Okay, but I'm just voicing that
We
there's a
certainly
lot
hear
going
you.
on here and we don't really know what's going to happen is the point.
We certainly hear you, and there's a lot that they're going to be coming back to us with in terms of a planting program. So I think that'll be interesting in response to your clearly stated concerns.
And
Okay.
please note that we are taking out a lot of parking that's currently on the road. So I would think that 4 entrances is safer than having people back out onto the main road. And I also think with snow plowing, that's another consideration that the club already deals with plowing out these parking areas that we're relocating, and we're going to make the road green, and we're going to put trees along where there currently is parking on the road. So please remember that that's not going to be there anymore. Just a small area for the boathouse.
Karen, I have a question. This is Susan O'Neill. Regarding, I agree that one-way traffic is far superior to the backing up. I'm curious if there's going to be a walking or a bike path with the sort of pedestrian traffic that is on that already kind of treacherous corner. Can you put that back up?
Yes, sorry. So I tried to move my screen and oh, here we go. Okay, so what we are proposing, right now, there's this beautiful, I don't have it all on here, but we will prepare a small scale drawing. But there's a lot of people that use an existing trail, and it's not connected right now with the street at all. So we were planning to connect it to the street and with this trail that goes around and over the dike. That's one of the ways that we were connecting a nice walking trail.
No, and that's a beautiful existing trail. We use it all the time. But I'm just really I'm very concerned about that blind corner because, you know, you can't obviously control speeding, but the cops
Right.
always in the little, driveway underneath Mr. What's his name? Our neighbor's house. Anyhow,
Dirk Stoltz.
yeah, underneath Mr. Saltz's house. But I am concerned about that blind corner. So many kids are riding their bike to tennis lessons or what have you. So I'm just curious about what the anticipated, with the egress moving more towards that corner. If, I see you have sightline. I don't really know what that means, but I just want to make sure that we're not losing any visibility. But I agree, it's better than backing up because that.
Yeah, we were out there, Randy and me and Casey from the club, and we checked the sight lines, and you can clearly see all the way up to where it's pointed from this part all the way up to this part, and we're going to maintain that visibility. So, and then assuming that a bicycler will be biking on the proper side of the road, there should be no impact unless, they cross over to get into the club.
Right.
What is the,
The bicycling going this way, there's plenty of sightline.
Susan, what is this?
But really about walking too, sorry, Rob, just the walkers. I mean, that's one of the beauties of living in the park is everybody walks the lake. So I am a little concerned about the pedestrians, and in the bad weather, you're not going to take that path that leads to the boathouse or the lake. But so just
Susan,
throwing that
what
out
is
there for consideration.
Right. What is the speed limit right now? There.
30, I believe.
Is it an option for the trustees to take that speed limit down for, the 500 yards or whatever in question? I don't know if John, are you there?
Yes, I am. I believe there are options for the trustees to alter the speed limit.
I just wonder if that would, because that's a genuine concern. And while I do think this is an improvement in 100 different ways, it is a pretty complicated traffic scenario here. And maybe it should be, 15 or 20 or whatever it can be to take some of that, threat down a little bit.
I think when I send these plans to the police department and possibly the trustees, they can take that into consideration.
Yeah, I think there is some minimum limits that are imposed by law, like maybe 25.
I think is it 20? Well, there's a suggested speed limit of 15 along Westlake Road. I don't know if that's just a suggestion or if that's legally binding, but I don't know if anyone here has walked along Westlake Road in the last year or so, but they put that up because there was an increase of pedestrian traffic, of pedestrian walking.
That's usually cautionary signs. They're not speed limit signs.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I mean, and honestly, even a cautionary sign would be better than nothing here, of that kind, even if you can't get it down legally.
We are also keeping like a strip open, like of grass along the road, and we can make it maybe see if it can be easy to walk on.
I was just gonna say, when you get down to the specifics of the planning schedule, maybe because I walk the roads a lot as well around the lake, and it's dicey at best in certain places. So especially with all the entrances and exits coming and going, be nice to have a place you can step aside.
But of course, everyone's very
excited about it.
cognizant as well of the fact that, there are many concerns being voiced here, and one of them is sound screening and visual screening. So,
Yeah.
Clearly it's going to be a matter of priorities and choices here. So,
For sure, for sure. It's going to be a vast improvement.
But I think all valid concerns that if they can be addressed with a fix that works, we'd like you to give some thought to these concerns raised by the neighbors. Anybody else before we?
Yeah,
move
guys,
on?
just a quick comment. It's Enrique Corridor here. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
First of all, Randy doing a great job at the club. Sometimes it can be a thankless job, so thank you. And I was a little concerned when I saw the letter saying that the club was going to redo their parking lot. But listening to what the vision is so far, I'm super happy. I agree with everything that Rob has said. I wasn't going to pipe up until I heard Ann propose potentially making my backyard into a parking lot. And for me, that would be kind of a bad situation, right? Because that would just make a nasty eyesore right behind our house. So hopefully we discard that idea. But otherwise,
Enrique, I didn't mean to insinuate that.
Okay, perfect, Ann. I don't think you did either. But I just want to commend you, Karen, and you, Randy, for coming up with this plan so early in the process. So collaborative with everyone here in the community, and look forward to seeing what the next vision is going to be and what the landscaping is going to be, and looking forward to seeing what you guys have in mind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Last call, anybody else? Okay, well, we will just, members of the public, please be aware of the agendas that are posted online, and so that you can come visit us again when the next iteration is presented. Thank you, Tuxedo Club.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All righty. Our second applicant is the Strupkinskis at 50 Cliff Road. Are you there? Oh, and you can stop sharing your screen, Karen, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lev Sturchinsky. My parents just purchased this wonderful house that is covered in a stone veneer and has a very grandiose slate roof. But unfortunately, it has a couple of flaws that we would like to remedy in order to improve the quality of living from within the structure. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
I can.
Okay, great. Should I share my screen with everyone?
That would be great. And while you're doing that, John, we noticed the neighbors on this project for adding and modifying existing dormers at 50 Cliff Road, correct?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Can everyone see the screen?
Yep.
So we bought my parents bought this house from the Niblos, and we decided to leave the submission as the Lands of Niblo in honor to them, because they were the ones that actually built the house. So here, this is a roof plan. On the left, you see the existing roof plan with the existing dormers. So we have this one here on the left, this one here on the right, and then these three small ones that are above the garage. What we are proposing is to add another small one over here, because underneath these two dormers is a bathroom, and it's relatively dark in the bathroom all throughout the day. And we find that, like, we did a small sun study of the path of the sun, and we realized that if we were to add this dormer, we would get a couple extra hours of sunlight in this bathroom. And we're also proposing to enlarge this dormer, which leads to kind of like a split level loft above, just barely above the living room, but it's open to the living room. And this dormer will also give us more light casting into the living room, but its main focus is to provide more sunlight in the master bathroom, which is directly on the first floor in this area. So moving down further into the submission, This is that small dormer. And then over here, we have the master bathroom. These windows are relatively low. The top line of this window is roughly 4.5 feet from the interior side. So I'm hoping you can imagine that also behind this facade is a cliff that goes all the way up, and it's very it's covered with vegetation, and there's very, very little light in this master bathroom. So we are proposing to extend the floor of the second floor pretty much to the side and a little bit more towards the edge of the roof, which will allow us to create build an extra bay of windows here on the second floor, which are going to cast more light into the loft space and traveling directly down into the double height ceiling. And it'll give us the opportunity of adding these 3 bays of windows that will also cast light into the bathroom. Moving on, the south facade, these doors here that lead to an open patio. Again, this is the this right here, like this entire space is the living room. And unfortunately, these doors have not been treated since they were installed roughly 15 years ago. And they are made of wood, interior and exterior. And on the exterior, we see like the doors are cracked completely. There's huge cracks. They're all deformed, and you know, there's a tremendous amount of air seepage. You can actually hear it from standing inside. So, you know, we understand that we have to replace these doors, but since we're doing some kind of work, well, we would like to reach out to you folks to see if you would approve us with extending the amount of light panels, making it larger, again, in the attempts to receive more sunlight in this wonderful living room, just in attempts to, again, create it more of a lively, more of a bring in more comfort into this space, because it has very high ceilings and it's really lacking natural sunlight through these small 3 doors. So the proposed plan here proposes 2 double doors with these small doors that are really going to be acting as more of like windows, because we're going to have a mosquito net here, so that we will be able to open these door-like windows to create a draft of fresh air without actually opening up the main doors. We're increasing the height. Just give me a second, I want to zoom in. So the existing doors are, oh wait, I'm sorry. Up here, you can see to the top of the transom of the existing doors, it's 9 feet 6 3/8, almost 9 feet 6 1/2. And we are proposing the our doors to be slightly smaller, but we're also getting a transom, which is not going to be operable. It's a fixed transom that starts at a height marker of 9 feet 5 5/8, and then extends up to 11 feet 7 5/8. And also, what you could not have seen from the page above, in this extended dormer, we're also proposing to have 2 small side lights to capture the sun's orbit in the sky. And in this elevation, you can see that dormer the way it is now, and then what we're proposing, just a slight extension with a side light window inside. Moving forward, this is the garage over here with a bedroom up on top with 2 dormers on this side, and then there's also another dormer on the other side of this slope. And the bathroom starts right over here, right where this second dormer is. And we would just like to add another dormer so that when my parents are taking a bath, they're not going to be in a dark closet looking type of space while they're trying to enjoy themselves and taking a bath. I'm hoping that there's really not that many objections. We're not creating any new architectural styles. We are replicating the existing architectural style with all of the existing materials. Luckily, the Niblos left crates of extra slate and extra stone veneer for us. I mean, they purchased it when they were building the house, and they purchased extra in case something needed to be fixed or modified it, and etc. So they passed it on to us. So
can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
So I'm just looking at this image here that you have up on your screen. And if you look to the right and you see the proposed new dormer for the bathroom, right?
Yes.
The scale of that drawing looks to my eye perfect and far better than the previous drawing. The previous drawing had a wider dormer that ran all the way to the seam in the roof. In other words, where the roof bends.
Yes.
If you go back to the other drawing, you will see that it's actually on the seam. And so one of my many comments here was going to be to suggest exactly what the drawing represents, which is a narrower dormer.
I'm sorry, are you talking about this one?
No, go back to the front of the build. Go back. Go back to the very beginning of the drawings.
Oh, the very beginning.
Correct. All the way to the beginning.
Right. So there
you go.
The roof kind of extends past the vertical walls of the dormer. So yes. So if I show you, so I also provided these exhibits that I kind of photoshopped, but going down to that particular dormer. So we have the vertical walls, and then we have the roof. It kind of extends. So we're not actually touching the roof ridge. We're just shy of the ridge.
I see. So the interior drawing represents a narrower profile
Yes.
than the exterior. Okay, got it.
I just want to thank you for not proposing skylights.
Oh, no. So I'm an architect by profession and by trade. And my father is also an architect by profession and by trade, by profession, not by trade. And we have fallen in love with Tuxedo Park 3 years ago, and we have been going back and forth for 3 years trying to become your neighbors. We were very lucky and fortunate to have found this house and finalize a deal. And we love everything about it. Maybe not everything on the inside, but on the outside, it's very architecturally rich. And we would like to preserve the style. And we're really going to meticulously, if you do grant us approval to do this renovation, we are going to be very meticulous to every single little detail.
Okay, so can I continue? So
Yes.
that answers my first question. Okay, and if we can continue down,
Yes.
let's go to the big dormer here. So on the
This one.
right.
Yes.
So look at the existing dormer that you have, right?
That's right here.
Above. You know, the hardship of needing light is completely understandable. And it seems like an easy fix, perhaps not going as far as you are proposing, but doing something that's sort of a happy medium. If you were to take that dormer and widen it so that you have the full width proposed, that is to say with 3 full windows,
right?
But you don't deepen it, what seems to me very uncomfortable is that it's coming all the way down to the gutter.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We're not really coming down to the gutter. You see this dotted line over here?
Mm-hmm.
Or should I zoom in? That dotted line is the wall structure below of the first floor. What I'm doing is what I'm proposing is to take this wall and just continue this one and put it on this one. So structurally, this is actually the safest way to go.
Right. This is partly a matter of aesthetics that I'm talking about. So my suggestion, if you can reduce it again, don't go.
Yes, yes, my apologies.
I think that transom window below the main set of windows looks very awkward. I think it's awkward in itself, but also the fact that it's at the seam where it meets the, I think that the dormer is too heavy coming so close to the gutters. I think it would be interesting to see what the drawings would look like if you basically widened the dormer but didn't take it all the way down the slope.
The whole, I mean, these transoms here provide the sunlight to the master bathroom. It's actually the whole, it was pretty much, it was the origination point of the entire project, because the master bathroom does not have any sunlight. And, you know, even if you walk in the morning, it feels like it's nighttime outside. So these small transoms here are the attempts to achieve more sunlight. And
so
also,
those transoms go to the first floor, in other words, the ground floor.
yes. And I think I have a section elevation here where I am showing that I'm extending the second floor to this zone. And then these transoms right here provide sunlight into the and this is honestly the only option that we have to get some sunlight into that master bathroom.
That's interesting. Can I stop you for a second?
Yes, sir.
Am I right in here remembering you say, Lev, that there's a large sort of slope that so this is not visible from the road?
No. So this facade is not visible from the road. So from here, from this line, there is a. Can you see my cursor? So it goes out here like that, and then the slope is like this. A good. It's like 30 feet. I want to show you some pictures that I have.
Great. Oh, I was just about to ask if you did.
Yes.
У тебя где перспектива? Прямо на проекте. Другую сторону, аксонометр.
So these are the two windows, and there's like a little trench here, and then but it's 4 feet deep, this trench, and then from here we have a minimum of a 30-foot rise to the road.
Wow.
So,
yeah, I'm familiar with this house inside and out, and I know what you're talking about. I really don't think it's visible.
Okay, well that's a big deal. I mean, because you know, if it's solving a problem that is legitimate from in terms of use, and it's not visible, then I think I would just back off from my aesthetic concerns.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then lastly, the if we can go to the next elevation, the one with your large window, that to me seems completely unobjectionable and like a good thing. And if it improves the use of the house, great. I mean, you know,
I agree, and that one's not visible either. Right, Lev? That's not visible either.
I mean, so as far as I'm concerned, if anything, it looks handsomer than the first elevation.
I agree. Absolutely. It's an
I
improvement.
agree.
Big improvement.
Thank you.
And you know, if you get to use, you know, because these are doors that aren't even functioning, and I don't. What materials were you thinking of using?
So we would like the dormers are going to need new windows, and we're hoping to avoid the existing problem with the wood on the exterior because it dried out and then cracking. You know, we would like to build for a lifetime. So we're looking at Marvin windows, which in my opinion is one of the best on the market today. And Marvin has a beautiful system that, first of all, it's going to be triple paned for energy efficiency. And we're probably going to go with a metal clad on the outside and wood on the inside.
Great.
metal in a black color.
And I'd be happy to discuss any acceptable colors for the metal, but we were looking at like a dark bronze.
Doesn't that sound good, Christopher? I mean,
Sounds excellent to me, yes.
Yeah.
And it's a huge improvement architecturally.
I agree.
And I agree with Rob on the aesthetics, function over form, if you will, on the bathroom dormer. I think that if it was visible from someplace, I would encourage you to do the whole thing in, a bump out, if you will. But
you mean this?
yeah, but I
Do a
think
full
that's
bump out and have like-
but since it's tight, I think that you've done it solves the problem.
Thank
Right.
you.
If it's not visible, then just solve the problem as you need to, and we're, I think, good with it, right, Sheila?
Yeah, I mean, they're using the same exact materials in all forms. You're not adding any new lighting, you're not changing any colors, you're not changing any materials.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
No, we're not
John,
changing any materials. We're matching everything to existing.
Yeah, the only change is the new windows in those one dormers that you just described.
And if I can just say, thank you, Lev, for laying it out so clearly and thoughtfully for us, and talking us through some of our questions. It all makes sense.
Thank you. Thank you. That it means a lot. It was a lot of efforts in trying to meet the deadline. A week of sleepless nights and brainstorming and thinking with my father on how to actually find the right proportions without damaging the entire aesthetics of the house.
But with that said, I'd like to defer to our engineer to hear his comments, just to make sure we've covered everything.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Sure.
Andy?
So, I have 7 comments. The first 2 were just basically statements of, what drawings you submitted and your photo documentation, pages. Number 3 was that you had a kind of a conflict in the photoshopped images of the windows.
Yes.
And I assume that from hearing you talk, that the drawings are really the truly what reflect what you want, because
yes,
in page 205 you don't show those lower transients, you show full height, which I could see can't really happen that way because the floor is in the way, that interrupts that view. So that was that comment, but you basically answered that by your discussion previously. 5 was just an error on A302.
A clerical error. My apologies for that.
You just mislabeled the second
Yes,
floor.
right here.
Yeah. So and I'm sure you'll correct that anyway. And then number 6 was about the new doors that you were putting in, basically materials, which you just discussed. So I think you answered that comment. And then I also saw some dimensional, some confusing dimensions.
Yes,
Yeah,
over here. That's,
yeah, you should clean that up.
yes, I will.
And then the last comment was, just beam sizes over the windows. But I'm sure you, when you do construction drawings, you can deal with that.
I'm thinking of so my engineer and I we discussed this, and we're thinking of just putting a 2x12, a sandwich of 4 of them bolted together. I think it's enough to hold the load because if you look closely, if you look closely here in this drawing, we still have 3 supporting columns here.
Right.
So it's not a single span with no support in the middle.
No, I wasn't insinuating that either. I just, you are increasing the spans from what you had before. So,
Yes.
you know, I'm sure, you know, when you go to construction drawings, you can just address that. So, yeah. But other than that, you know, nice drawings.
Thank you.
That's all I had.
John Ledwith, any other issues we should raise?
The only concern is what was mentioned earlier regarding the windows.
Windows,
In the past, we have not allowed a metal.
yeah,
clad.
metal clad and wood inside, right?
Yes. Mm.
Yeah, I know. That was my concern too, that I was gonna raise, that is
Can I
just,
ask a question? So on, gosh, Westlake Road, all the way at the bottom, what is that new application, the house on the Tuxedo
Oh,
Lake?
with the greenhouse.
Yeah, I'm wondering, what are they using? They're using an actual metal door.
I thought it was steel,
They're
was
using
it?
steel, they're using steel windows.
Yeah,
And
steel windows.
And would
we have a
that be too divergent from their whole program here to work in this instance?
I think it'd be great.
Because we have had an issue with not using wood windows or steel windows.
So
Would
in
you
other
be
words,
open to consider that?
well, we have used steel windows, for instance, the barn, you know.
No, I agree to
Oh.
use steel windows rather than just a metal
Oh.
clad.
Right.
Good evening, Lev. This is John from the village office.
Hello, Mr. Ledwith.
The village is in a historic district and we really try to match some of the original building materials. And we do understand it's a compromise. There is some additional maintenance involved with wood windows and such. Would you at least be able to give us some samples of either wood windows or maybe steel windows that would fit this application?
With pleasure. I can have them to you by middle of next week.
Good, thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
But aside from that, I know that it sounds like the board is very pleased with your presentation and your solutions to your lighting issues. So if you could just come back with those, we'll be happy to address them with you in the next meeting.
Okay. And I will send a revised version with all fixes to all the clerical errors so that we have a finalized and 100% finished submission.
Well, that'll make it a lot easier to approve when the time comes.
Great. I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much and welcome to the park full time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You and your family.
Good night.
Thank you.
Talk soon.
Okay, now to the Nodell, the patient Nodells. Are you here?
Hi, I am a landscape architect. Am I available? Can you see me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm here to present, well, I think Paul is on. Paul Nodell, the owner, is on, but I was going to present
He's
the project.
muted and I don't
This
see
is-
him. But
Oh, I think he's just listening till he needs to.
here he is.
There he is.
Hi, everyone. Yeah,
Hello.
I have a poor internet connection up here, so that's why I had my camera off.
Yeah. One of our members has no power at the moment is why he's not on. No power, no internet, no nothing. So,
I can
Um,
relate.
so, John, we noticed the neighbors about the Nodell at 80 Crow's Nest Road
Yes,
pool proposal.
yes.
Very good. Do you want to take the screen and explain your vision to us?
My-
Mr. Chairman, can you share the screen with your plan or Mr. Nodell? If not, I could try to do it on my own.
Dan has the plan. He's looks like he froze.
Hmm.
Do you have chat?
Let's give him a moment.
Dan, Dan, you're frozen if you can't hear us, if you can hear us.
Looks like he's coming back in.
Oh.
There he is.
Now. I think I have. I can share my screen.
Yeah, you're cutting in
I
and out, Dan.
will do that now. Okay. You can see me?
Here it comes.
So this is a house that was designed by the Swiss architect William Lescaz in 1937 for Alfred Loomis. And I can show the relationship between the Loomis Labs building and the house where Paul Nodell lives. This low house, and I have another picture of it, but no one can see anywhere near this backyard unless.
Dan, we can't see your screen or hear you now.
Here it comes.
We hear your dog.
Sorry, there's a animal on the side of the mountain.
You
There's
know,
lots of wildlife
if it
up here.
turns out that we can't see him, and I don't know about you, Christopher, but I spent,
I'm back. So I don't know why that's doing that. I'm gonna go quick. I'm gonna open up the site plan. This is an 11.6 acre property. And on the right, the left-hand panel, you can see the adjacency. Shoot, my internet's like in and out. The pool is like 300 feet from the east and west line. It's tucked right behind the house. I'm gonna move quickly in case my internet goes out. The panel on the left shows our proposed 16 by 50 foot long
We're not
pool.
seeing
We've
it.
made it
Oh,
align
okay.
directly through the front foyers. the front
Dan, I don't
doors.
think you're sharing yet.
Yeah,
No, we're
Dan
not
can't
seeing.
see.
Would it be? easier
Can
to-
you see the plan?
no.
We can hear you, but we can't see the plan.
So if John wants to share it through him, otherwise, I mean, I don't need to see
Are you
it.
able to see
I
the
don't
plan?
Can I stop you? I mean, I've looked at the plans and Christopher has clearly as well. We know all about the history of the house. You don't have to tell us about it.
Right.
It's brilliant. It's a natural extension of the house. I love, maybe I'll take this moment to ask, but if I understand correctly, it is that sort of wonderful sort of raised cistern, but a kind of a mid-century modern sort of like retread of a cistern. Is that accurate? It's raised above the ground slightly, is that? or no?
Slightly, yes, that's
Correct.
correct.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was the most elegant gesture, as an extension of the house and echoing the house.
It's
in term-
perfectly cited.
Perfectly cited, elegant. I just didn't have a single thing to say other than wonderful. If Andy didn't, in terms of the,
Well, I'm sure there's safety and other considerations that have to be addressed, as you know, according to the code, and we can go through Andy's.
what I just meant in terms of not being able to see the whole program.
Right.
Really, it sold itself so brilliantly when you sent us that program.
Yeah, I would agree with Rob and Sheila. We have to follow the code and all of that. But as far as the aesthetics of it, the materiality, all that, I'm sold. So
So I don't know why my internet was fine the first hour.
yeah, of course it was.
That's
And then
How it
as I come on,
Sherman's law.
if you can see me, I can show the renderings of what the pool would look like and how it
We see you
sits a little
now.
above the ground. It's like my internet is like, I'll do that again.
Oh, it's coming.
That may be coming. Something's happening.
Yeah, so did you see the plan already?
Yes,
There you
we
go.
see
Yeah,
it.
the plan is,
Amazing.
I want to move kind of quickly in case it blacks out again.
Right.
So these show the views. This is looking through, the windows are not aligned to the front door. It's an amazing house, but you come through the foyer and there's a true sight line, but this big sliding panel of windows is not aligned to that. But this does align to the house. You can see that the pool is proposed to be like seating height above the ground, 3 feet above the patio level, and there's a little waterfall that spills down. And then we're putting it, as the ground slopes up, like 2 feet above generally, like a seat height it's intended to be. And this is because the ground, we've tested all the elevations of the ground rock underneath and are getting 3 to 4 foot depths. And so we wanted the pool shell to be sitting above the rock. But it's kind of neat also that it sits up like a fountain tank, like a lily tank on this very severe international style modern house. the Lion
Perfect.
Mhm.
I think
very interesting.
Lescaz himself would be so in favor of this.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear. Yeah, we
That
thought
is
so.
the
And-
best thing you could have said.
It's beautiful.
No, it's so
And we-
simple, really.
We were cladding the pool in an ash gray porcelain, so that in sheets that are 24 by 36, so that in the height of it, you'll just see very few seams, really tight without any joints, without any grout joints, just very tight. And this color, the picture here on the left, shows the comparison between the blue stone that would be the pool coping. This is on the patio picture, and then the ash gray of the paving. That's the difference. The coping would be Pennsylvania bluestone. The inside would be a light gray, like a dove gray, or a French gray, I guess. We put corner seats that are not seats. The steps go in symmetrical, so they look almost Art Deco in the corners, off corners. And then there's a little waterfall that faces the house. The property is so large that no one, again, would ever be able to see it, but the area where the pool goes is an open clearing, and then it slopes off. It's like the top of the hill. So as the woods come in, we're putting a black metal fence kind of connected from tree to tree so that it's hidden way down around the surroundings. You wouldn't see the fencing. But as it nears the house, and I couldn't get a picture that was the color of the trim on the house, which is dark brown, but we wanted nothing with peaks or Gothic or with any other style, but just sort of a clean picket fence. And this is the picture that I could find, but it's a clean vertical picket fence. We're making it be 6 feet to deter the deer.
And would that be stained to match?
Stained to match the house. And
okay.
I think this picture at the bottom, let me shrink this thing. If I could scroll this thing up, I can move you guys over here. I can show a picture of the house. Oh, there it is, over on the left. That's the back house, and it has a dark soffit trim at the top. And
Fantastic.
these are the stakes in the ground where over 20 different depth testings were made.
So it would
in
be
case my
stained
signal goes
that
down.
gorgeous 70% cacao sort of brown.
Yes, the fencing will be. And there are no lights proposed except for the lights to illuminate the water. The pool filter goes, I can show it on the plan, but it's way off in the woods surrounded by andromedas, which are growing beautifully on this property.
What a place.
It's a great, great house.
So,
So should we then turn to Andy?
Yes.
I'm so glad you stayed with me with my power outages.
Yeah.
So I think most of the comments were taken care of in the resubmission of the drawings. I did have a couple of things that, you added notes in regards to the pool safety, but it didn't adequately answer that. So you should, I gave you the reference in the building, chapter 31. Take a look at that section and specifically in relation to doors and windows that, open onto an area with a pool, because you don't have a fence between. So you're required to alarm those doors. And I think you can work that out, answer those comments to John when you do the construction drawing. And the
Yes.
other,
Thanks for the references.
yeah, but just like pull that section chapter 31 up, and you'll see in there those requirements. The other ones were just that, the board might want to just discuss the fences. That's all.
Yeah,
Those-
and maybe see some of the finished materials and stuff like that, so, and colors and stuff.
Those
How
all-
would we do that? Can we get samples to you in physical form?
Yes, you can get them to John, and then he
Oh,
will
okay.
have them, and we will go
Great.
visit them.
Oh, okay,
And,
because I have
and
a
then
sample of the
maybe you
metal
can,
fence and the
yeah.
porcelain.
Are there any, I guess there aren't any variances required, are there, John?
No,
No, there's
mean,
no
you're in the middle
setback,
of-
there's no setback
Yeah.
requirements. I will look at the lot coverage, but I'm sure that's not gonna be a
Yeah.
problem. It also appears that the fence is entirely in the rear and the side yard, so you can construct a 6-foot fence in the rear and side yard without any variance. So I don't see anything at this point that would trigger a variance.
Okay, I think it might be helpful then to look for us to see the materials and maybe, since pool safety is important, just to get a better vision of that after you've had an opportunity to review the chapter 31 requirements. But sounds like you have an effusive response on your initial view.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the
Alright.
park.
Thank you.
Thanks for your patience with my connection.
No problem.
All right.
Is there anyone from the public that has anything to say that I missed? Okay. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. We can turn to the minutes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the, Desiree, what are the last 2 meeting dates?
Yes, May 20th and June 3rd.
And June 3rd. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I approved. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting unless anyone has anything they need to add.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending
Thank
and your
you.
patience, some exciting projects and
Truly.
progress.
Yeah.
Have a
Yes.
good,
Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
Good night.
Good
Thank you
night.
for coming.
Interesting applications tonight. They're very interesting.
Yes,
Yeah.
very interesting.
Agree.
Take care.